All right, so we're diving into Hero MotoCorp today. Their Q2 FY25 financials are out. And the
Okay.
headlines, they're saying record-breaking, right? But we want to know more than that.
Yeah,
We're going to look at, the why behind the numbers. What's really driving the success?
exactly. It's like detective work. We've got all the clues laid out before us. We have the press release, the detailed financial statements,
Ooh,
and even
yeah.
the auditor's reports. We're going to piece it all together.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Okay, so first up, the headline news. Hero
Yeah.
MotoCorp, they posted a record, what is it, RS, 10,463 crore in revenue,
Wow,
up 11% year over year.
that's impressive, yeah. And their profit after tax, the PAT, even more
Yeah.
impressive, hitting ours, 1,204 crore.
Yeah, that's a 14% jump, year over year.
That's not just impressive, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
Now the question is this just a temporary surge or a sign of sustainable growth?
Yeah, we need to know.
We need to dig deeper. We need to find out the how and the why, not just the what.
I was looking through their financials and something really caught my eye. Remember that Maverick 440 Thunder Wheels, that limited edition they launched with thumbs up?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that was a great campaign.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that along with some other products, it helped boost revenue from parts, accessories, merchandising
Right.
to a record Rs 1,456 crore.
That's significant.
Yeah.
This points to a larger strategic shift for Hero MotoCorp.
Yeah.
They're diversifying, going beyond just the motorcycles and the scooters, creating these new revenue streams, boosting their overall profitability, especially important as we see the market moving more towards electric vehicles.
It's like they're building a whole ecosystem around their brand, right?
Yeah.
Not just about selling bikes anymore.
Yeah, it's a smart move.
Hmm.
But we need to see, are they spreading themselves too thin? Could they be better off just focusing on those core products?
Yeah, good point. Good point. It's like they're placing multiple bets, hedging their future. Speaking of bets, new products.
Yeah.
3 new motorcycles were unveiled at EICMA
Or
2024.
which ones?
The X-Pulse 210, the Extreme 250R, and the Charisma XMR 250. Talk about a product offensive.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. Each of these launches seems strategically aligned with current market trends. Take the X-Pulse, for example, with its off-road capabilities, tapping into that booming adventure motorcycle segment. Hero MotoCorp is clearly going after specific niches.
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to anticipate what riders are going to want, not just chasing fads.
Exactly.
And then there's the whole EV revolution, right? We can't forget that. Their Vita Z electric scooter.
Oh, right.
It's getting traction. Plus, they've got plans to expand their EV lineup across all price points.
Especially in a market like India, where affordability is crucial. Offering a range of EVs, they're showing commitment to a sustainable future.
Right, and they're not alienating their core customer base.
Yeah?
Now, this impressive performance is not just limited to India, right?
No, it's not.
Hero MotoCorp, they're going global. They've just launched in the Philippines.
That's big. Their first step into Southeast Asia.
Exactly.
It's bold. For a company that has been traditionally reliant on the Indian market, going international is key to diversify their revenue streams and mitigate risk.
It's high risk, high reward. Right.
Definitely.
And it seems to be paying off, at least initially.
So far, so good.
Global sales up 30% year to date. That's remarkable.
It is early days, but this initial success really does indicate that their brand, their products, they're resonating beyond India. That's a positive sign for their long-term growth.
For sure. And amidst all of this expansion, all this innovation, they're not ignoring sustainability.
Yeah, they're not. They've actually secured the top spot in India's two-wheeler industry and fourth globally in the automotive sector for their S&P Dow Jones Sustainability Index, the DJSI score.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's a big deal, especially for investors who are incorporating ESG factors into their decisions. A high DJSI score, it suggests commitment to those responsible business practices.
So it's not just about making money, it's about making money the right way.
Exactly. It's a narrative that goes beyond just profits.
Now, even the most compelling narratives have their complexities, right?
Yeah, of course.
The auditor's reports, they highlighted a potential issue. The income tax authorities, regarding certain expenses, led to a tax demand of R 178 crores.
Okay, yeah. This is something we need to keep an eye on. While the company, they seem confident in their appeal, any kind of adverse outcome, it could impact their profitability.
Yeah, a potential speed bump on the road to success. We'll definitely need to delve deeper into this later. But for now, I think we should shift our focus to those financial statements.
Yes, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
The real insights into how they're achieving these record-breaking numbers.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So now we're getting into the really interesting part, the financial statements themselves.
Yeah. Let's crack this code.
Sometimes these documents can seem a bit daunting.
Right.
But trust me, they hold all the answers we need to understand how Hero MotoCorp is really performing.
Lead the way. I'm ready.
All right, so let's start with the cash flow statement. Specifically, their cash flow from operations, which is a really key metric. It came in at a healthy Rs, 2,817 crore for the first half of FY25.
Okay. That sounds like pretty good.
It is.
But, for someone who's not a financial expert, what does that actually mean? What does that tell us?
Well, think of it this way. A strong cash flow from operations basically means that Hero MotoCorp is efficiently generating cash
Right.
from its core business activities.
Yeah.
Selling motorcycles, parts, accessories,
Right.
all the things we were talking about earlier.
Gotcha. So it's not just about, profit on paper. It's about actual cash coming in.
Exactly. It's the lifeblood of any company.
Uh-huh.
And it's a great sign
Okay.
as an investor because it gives them the flexibility to invest in growth, pay dividends, maybe even weather a tough economic storm. It's a sign of a healthy business.
It makes sense. A company with cash on hand has more options, more room to move.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another thing that really stood out to me was their investment activity. They've significantly increased their investments, primarily in other financial assets.
Interesting. So they're not just sitting on their cash.
No, they're putting it to work. It's a smart strategy.
But where are they putting it? What kind of investments are we talking about here?
Well, the details aren't fully outlined in the report,
Right.
but it's likely that they're diversifying their portfolio, potentially into things like fixed income securities, maybe other stable assets.
Okay, so they're being, financially savvy, not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Precisely. It's like having a balanced diet, but for their finances.
Love that analogy.
Now, let's turn our attention to the balance sheet, another key financial statement.
All right, the balance sheet. Let's see what we got.
We can see a significant increase in both assets and liabilities.
Okay.
Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It often just reflects growth, expansion.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
But what's driving this increase?
Well, a few things. Their property, plant, and equipment, that's increased, which means they're investing in manufacturing capacity, infrastructure, right,
Makes sense.
to support all these new products we talked about.
Right. And the global expansion.
Exactly. We also see a rise in what are called right-of-use assets, which suggests they're using leasing arrangements for expansion, which is a smart way to manage capital.
Yeah, strategic.
Yeah. So they're expanding their operations, they're building for the future. But we also need to look at the liability side of the equation.
Yeah, for sure. The other side of the coin.
We see that their trade payables have increased, which is understandable with their growing operations.
Okay.
Basically, it means they're buying more raw materials, components to keep up with production.
Makes sense.
On the debt front, there has been an uptick, but their overall debt levels seem manageable,
Okay.
especially given that strong cash flow we talked about earlier.
Right, yeah. So it seems like they're using a mix of their own funds and some strategic borrowing to fuel their growth, but in a calculated way. It's not reckless or anything.
It appears to be well managed.
When I was looking through the reports, I came across a term that I wasn't really familiar with. It was in the auditor's report, and it said other equity. What does that even mean?
Yes. Other equity. It can be a bit of a head-scratcher if you're not an accountant.
Yeah, threw me for a loop.
Think of it as like a savings account for the company. It includes things like retained earnings,
Okay.
which is basically profit that hasn't been distributed as dividends, and reserves that are set aside for specific purposes like, future investments or maybe a rainy day.
So it's kind of like a financial cushion.
Yes, exactly. A safety net.
It gives them a bit of breathing room.
It does. It provides financial flexibility,
Yeah.
resilience. They could pursue opportunities without, relying too heavily on debt, potentially leading to more stable growth in the long run.
That's smart. It's like having a backup plan,
Yeah.
a financial safety net.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, before we get too lost in the numbers,
Yep.
I think it's important to step back
Right.
and connect this financial analysis
Yeah, connect the dots.
to the strategic moves we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, right. Because it's all connected.
It is. Let's bridge the gap between the financial statements and those exciting developments.
All right, so we've gone through all the details, examined all the numbers.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It has. So now, what's the verdict? What does it all mean for Hero MotoCorp?
Well, From what we've seen, I'd say the financials paint a pretty positive picture. The company's doing well, they're performing well,
Yeah.
but they're also taking some calculated risks,
Yeah.
right? They're really trying to position themselves for future growth.
Yeah, they're not just riding the wave. They're trying to, like, build a bigger, better surfboard.
Exactly. They're not just reacting, they're trying to shape the market. But of course, like with any ambitious journey, there are going to be some challenges.
Yeah, there are always bumps in the road. We talked about that tax issue.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to watch. They seem confident about the appeal, but, any kind of setback there could have an impact.
Absolutely. And, we can't forget about the global economic picture either.
Hmm.
Inflation, interest rates, geopolitical risks, all of these things could play a role.
Right, right. It's a complex world out there. But it seems like, based on what we've seen, Hero MotoCorp is taking the right steps.
I think so. Their focus on diversification, both in terms of products and markets, is a smart move.
So for someone who's, maybe thinking about investing in Hero MotoCorp, what's the big takeaway here?
I'd say they present a pretty compelling case. They've got strong financials, they're making strategic investments, and they're committed to sustainability, which is becoming increasingly important.
Right.
But of course, as with any investment, you need to do your own research,
Yeah, always, always.
assess your own risk tolerance, all that good stuff.
It's like a detective story, right? The investigation never really ends. We've uncovered a lot, but there's always more to learn, more to watch.
Absolutely. And that brings up probably the biggest question of all. Can Hero MotoCorp maintain this momentum? Can they successfully navigate this, shift towards electric vehicles while still holding on to their dominance in the traditional motorcycle market?
Yeah, it's like they're balancing two worlds.
They are. Only time will tell how it all plays out.
I guess we'll have to stay tuned for the next chapter.
We will. But for now, I think we've given our listeners a pretty good look behind the scenes, a chance to really understand what's driving Hero MotoCorp.
Absolutely. And hopefully some valuable insights to help them navigate their own, financial journeys.
Exactly.
It's always good to remember that financial reports, they're more than just numbers.
Yeah, they are. They're stories
Yeah.
waiting to be told.
And sometimes the best stories, they're the ones that are still being written.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this financial adventure. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine.